All walks are different. No two people in the world walk the same. Actors try to get hold of their character by figuring out how they would walk. They try to tell the whole story with the walk. We need flexibility to make our walks convincing. In this session, we're going to investigate different ways to get the flexibility that we need to create personality in a walk. I had terrible trouble doing a double bounce, and because I always wanted to do it, and I used to analyze bits of film and I couldn't do it. And I actually did the one in the Panther, the one with the Mickey Mouse ears. All a double bounce is 2 downs per step. Let me just write that. 2 downs per step. Here, we're putting the down on the contacts and the passing position, and up on the mid positions. Works well. Or we can make the contacts in the passing position the ups and the mid positions the downs. Both methods work. We put the fox from our logo double bouncing on 12s. Do you know the Disney film The Rescuers, where Milt Kahl animated? There's a marvelous scene, well, every scene he did of Medusa. He did nearly all the important shots of her. And she goes into the distance kind of, like this. Do you know, it's quite a famous scene amongst animators. And the bomb is going do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do-do. And the meat of the behind is going 2 downs per step. Very subtle. So I rung him up and asked him about it. And he said he did it. I said, how'd you do that? That's a double bounce on the bum, isn't it? And he said, well, I acted out, I did it myself. I shut the door so nobody could see me, and I just figured it out. He wouldn't use live action anymore, having done it for 35 years, studying live action. He then said, I've had it. I know what's happening. I can figure anything out. I'll do it. And then it all went around the younger animators. Oh, don't use live action. Don't use live action. Milt doesn't use live action. We don't use live action. So they just immediately canceled themselves out of 35 years of study, and they carry on doing stuff they don't know what, it's not so good. So it's the old thing. Learn the rules and then throw them out the window. But you've got the rules in your bloodstream, you can then do what you want, isn't it? The double bounce walk that we've just done is basically a standard 3-position walk with 2 extra positions. But it's still a standard walk. Now we'll start to vary things. We've got the head, the hips, the shoulders, the arms, the knees, everything to work with. Let's start to limber things up. We'll start with a boring mechanical walk. It functions, but it's dull. First, we'll tilt the shoulders. Then tilt the hips in the opposite direction. Already it's got personality. Now, let's bend the body on the 2 extreme positions. Gives him real personality. Take it further by breaking the leg. Whether it would bend that way or not. Really interesting. and we'll tilt the head. Adds life. And how about this? We'll delay the tilt of the head on the passing position. Cheeky. Let's take this uninteresting walk. It functions. Now let's stick the head out on the passing position. Like a pigeon. Kind of interesting. Or we'll stick the head out on the contacts. Very interesting.
There's another thing here. We could get more movement in this. Just a thing like this, just by the belt line, for example.
Normally, the belt line is down with the foot that is down, and up with the foot that is up. And normally, the shoulder opposes the pelvis. But we can do what we like. Here it is normally.
This is like doing your separate runs. You first do your three main positions. The two contacts, then the middle position, and then you start thinking about what you're going to do for what you've got in your head in the middle and do separate runs. Main things first, lesser things later. Let me just do another thing with the head. Here's our first position of the head.
We're going to wobble his head with self-love. The head tilts toward us on the down and away from us on the up.
Then the next step, you could have the head, the next passing position could be this way. There's the ear. That's the back of the head.
Let's swivel the head and then tilt it. Now he's really pleased with himself.
I always wondered why these, in the any books on animation, or you'd see the rough drawings of animators, and they would always have these, they have a head here or something. They have these, they were sort of like this, or the eyes would be like that. They were constantly using drawings like that, and I thought that was the way they drew. This was a drawing thing, but it wasn't. It was they were animators, or layout. They were figuring out, if you're animating Snow White's head or a realistic head, you don't want the eyes and nose and everything to wobble, so you end up with all these guidelines, isn't it, going from here to here. See what I mean? So that's an animator. They just started. They're thinking this way, right? They're thinking, where am I gonna put the head?
We tend to think of walks as just the legs. We've already broken a knee joint, which loosened up the walk. Now let's see what we can do with an arm swing. We'll start with a mechanical arm swing. It works, but it's stiff. Now we'll drag the hand coming forward and drag the hand going back, which will loosen it up a bit. Now we'll break the elbow joint. It looks weird, but watch what it'll do. Now it's loose, and we can hardly see the broken joint. We just feel it. Better still, we'll overlap the hand at the end of each swing. Now, move the shoulder back and forth in an arc. Result, much more limber.
Curves are beautiful to watch, so we tend to walk in arcs. I mean, a foot, on a normal walk, a foot sort of goes like that, doesn't it? It's a figure eight, but the foot goes down. If you watch a person's walk, we could turn it into that very easily, but it's a sort of arc. Everything's generally going in arcs, isn't it? This is going in an arc. Everything's kind of going in arcs. Arc, arc, arc. If I hit somebody, though, I don't want it in an arc, isn't it? I'm going to lose the momentum. So I might go in an arc, anticipating slugging him, going back in an arc, but then the hit is as absolutely straight as I can. So aggressive movements, like a karate movement that comes out of nowhere, there are usually no arcs in those, right? Those kicks, they're not balletic. They just sort of, bam, they come out at you unexpected. No arcs, right? Ballerinas, arcs. Everything's arc. Feminine is arcs, obviously. Watch your arcs. But as one of the great things with computer animation is you can go so subtly. These things, gee, try it. It should open stuff up for you. If I was on it, that would be one of the first things I would try.
When you talk about breaking the joints there, do you mean like that the elbow actually physically extends back into here, or would it be like where the joint breaks all the way back here, or would it be more like
come
this?
Come into the
Would it be more like this kind of move where it goes back because it's twisting along this axis, or is it more just one of those things where you just break it?
It'd be nicer if you could twist it along the axis. But you could, if it doesn't feel right, you can actually just smash it.
Yeah, because I oftentimes, and I haven't tried this, so I have no idea, but sometimes I find that like in the 2D world, you can get away with more little cheats like that because you'd be less aware of the elbow, but with the computer, with all the modeling and everything, that sometimes things feel like just broken because you're very aware that that's still the elbow.
Yeah.
So but I mean, would twisting it be?
Well, I would try to twist it first.
So that's the ideal way.
If it didn't look right,
okay.
Obviously you'd try to make it as believable as possible. But if it won't, then you just take a deep breath and break your arm.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's one of the big things that will really work in computer, and this gives you more change, isn't it? It's a device to give you more change. And as Babbitt would say, have the courage to invent.
Art Babbitt was the master of breaking joints and breaking all the rules. Look at all the stuff that's going on here. Here are the extreme positions. The back leg is broken, and the foot's on backwards. On the next extreme, the back leg is broken, and the foot's on backwards. We then go back to extreme number 1. Pull them apart for clarity. The middle position, the elbow breaks, the hand is way back, the back arch reverses, and on the next pass position, the back arch reverses again. Pull it apart again for clarity. 5 and 11 are more or less in-betweens. But notice on 11, his foot is twisted towards us, and on 15, it's pointed away from us. Now the opposite step. On number 19, his left arm swing doesn't break, and on 25, his leg is twisted away from us. On 2, it's just an in-between, and on 9, the arm is still broken. On 13, the foot swivels back, the butt is at its highest, and the back arch reverses. So that on extreme 15, the butt falls on the contact. On the opposite step, 17 is just an in-between, and on 23, the foot swivels back, and on 27, it's basically an in-between. To analyze Babbitt is almost impossible. If he was to animate it again, he'd probably do something completely different.
He wanted to invent actions. He poo-pooed animators who just did sort of normal kind of performances. He would approve of squash and stretch a lot because, although he didn't use it very much, he tried to do it this way. But anything that's not normal, that's more imaginative, he said, we've got an invented medium, let's invent.
Let's take a break from invention, and let's get into how we handle weight in walks.
This is a thing Ken Harris showed me. This is a head-on walk with exaggerated weight shift.
Here are the contact positions, and here is the first passing position with his weight over his left foot. On the second passing position, his weight is over his right foot. Each step requires him to shift his entire body weight.
So you could get a very nice thing here because of this. If there's the belt line, which on the passing position you could get that just with the belt line.
The belt line emphasizes the shifting of his body weight.
Okay, and this is exaggerated counteraction, as in a fat man walk, say. As he goes up, and this is obviously very exaggerated, the fat mass, as he goes down, the fat mass is going up as he goes down. The breasts, definitely. As she goes up, they go down. And it doesn't matter whether they're tiny or large or medium. They're going to go down. That's the flesh goes down as the body comes out, whether it's in small amount or a large amount. And as it goes down, they jiggle up. So, and the same will happen with a fleshy buttock.
The same thing applies to a woman's body as she walks. The same counteraction applies to a floppy hat. As she goes down, her hat brim goes up, and as she goes up, the hat brim goes down.
We did an interesting thing with Jessica at first, is that it's just on this 4-frame business. We led the breasts came in 4 frames early, and she followed it. It was very subtle. They were just there a little. It didn't come out to here, and then she came in, but they went 4 frames early. I forget whether we Xerox the normal animation, then just stuck it out, whatever it was. You had this. You didn't see it, but you had this very strange feeling, sexual feeling. I mean, if we had delayed it, it would have been it would have been not as an aggressive kind of sexual thing. The feminine is concave. It's not, it's not strutting out on the stage. It's kind of a masculine thing to do. Take a look at this. You see,
we've looked at invented walks and successive breaking of joints and weight. Now let's see how the master, Milt Kahl, pulls all this together, taking a normal walk and loading it with all the things we've been talking about.
This is a wonderful walk, and it's going to take a while to do it, but it'll show you all the stuff we've been working on, all in action. And what Milt did a series. You could almost call this is a Disney optimistic walk. It's in Pinocchio, one of them, where Pinocchio's going to school, and it's got high elbows. It's sort of, we're off to be an actor or whatever it is. And I think he has a school book. I think it's like this, isn't it? Something like, it's almost a skip. It's a strut. It's got a lot of up and down in it, and it's absolutely beautiful. And he did a whole bunch of them. And there's this one he did in Johnny Appleseed in Melody Time, I think it is. There's a whole bunch of them where he's going off to plant the apple seeds, and he does this terrific, the world is optimistic, I'm going to spend my life planting trees, or whatever it is. So I took a bunch of these, and I analyzed them, and they're all the same, kind of, and he worked them out in this exactly same method that you can see. It's transparently, but it's complex. It's something like this. We know that the passing position is up on a normal walk, and this is kind of a normal walk, right? So we put the 7, and this is just a normal middle position. And this arm, look at this is wild. It's way up there at its high point, but the body is and it's just an in-between, except the leg is going right up here in the strut. That's about right. And I guess, yeah, that's it. And that's probably just an in-between, but with a very high knee.
Okay, now let's look at how Milt does this in detail. First, he makes the contacts. Right away, there's lots of vitality in the contact positions. We'll take 2 steps walking on 12s. Spread it apart for clarity. Head side on, head slightly left, head slightly right. Shoulders oppose hips. Back arm is down, front arm is up. Belt line bends down with the lowest leg. Body twists sideways and twists back. Feet twist and are off the parallel. Next, put in the passing positions, 7 and 19. On 7, the head is up and tilts forward. On 19, the head is up and turns towards us. On 7, the right shoulder is high. On 19, the left shoulder is high. On 7, the elbow joint is broken, as on 19. On 7, the left hand drags, the right hand drags. On the 19, the right hand drags and the left hand drags. There's a big, fast arm swing right through the middle. This would make a great walk as it is, without adding in more highs and lows. Now we'll put in the lows, the down positions. Number 4 is down. Number 16 is down. Delay the arm and drag the hand. Now put in the up position. 10 is an up. 22 is an up. Broken elbow joint on 10. Broken elbow joint on 22. Foot swings in on 10 with the sole towards us. And on 22, the foot swings away from us. Then add in the in-betweens. On thirds, between the up on 22 and 25, the two in-betweens are intelligent. The knee is at its highest on 23 and stays high on 24 and pops down with the sole towards us on 25, the contact. Now the whole thing is packed with vitality and change. Sophisticated use of the basics. The point of this is not to learn how to do a Disney strut. It's how to think about it and how to go about doing it, whatever it is. How to handle an immense amount of subtle material and keep it strong. And once we've got a walk that we like, we can take it further.
Let's make it, I'm wondering, if it's a fat man, the belly's going to be up here, right? And when he goes down, the belly's going to be, when he's going up, the belly's going to be traveling down. And here it's going to be really down. So, I mean, you can handle all kinds of material this way. If it was a woman, and we've got the breasts on it, it would be there as it's going down, they're going to tend to go up. And as he comes up to the front, they're going to travel down. And then and they may go down further and may get an extra wobble here. Who knows? I would just carry them on down further. And then when it comes up, when it's down here, they're going to be going up ever so slightly. So you can see what you can do with hair here. I mean, you're a wonderful arc. You know, the hair is going to be here, here, in a wave motion, you see? Isn't it? You're going to have... So we can... The point of it all is I'm trying to sell you, if nothing else is gotten from this class, all these little tips, they're irrelevant in a way. It's the work method that gets you there. The rest is experience and talent, isn't it? You know, this is technology, this stuff, how to think. And it took these guys, it may have taken them only 10 years to figure all this stuff out before we all went and forgot it or didn't pay any attention to it. But there were several genius minds working on this stuff. Several, you know, and they just figured it out. This is the way to work.
One question regarding that is more advice for us as animators. I guess if you said that in the 1940s you reached some kind of a plateau where Dumbo or Pinocchio were these people were doing this already, and there was much more to explore.
Right.
What is it for us as animators to?
It's a wonderful question, and I think the answer is these are the roots, isn't it? We grow our own tree on their roots, and what's very interesting what you say is, why does the innovator of something, who feels as he's innovating this thing, oh God, I can't get it right, like the computer things happening now. Oh Jesus Christ, our next film will be better. You know, this is still as you invent something or something new, you're thinking, oh God, if I could only get it right, I can't quite get it right, and then that becomes the innovation. And then all the copyists come in, and it goes down, isn't it? I mean, very often the great innovators are the high point, and they're going crazy because they think they haven't got it right. I think the answer is we go through their door, isn't it? I mean, the thing why I get emotional about Ken Harris, who was a friend, and Milton, I felt so privileged that he was a friend. He was the doorway for me, and now I give you guys this stuff. This is the doorway. This saves you. I was animating 20 years before I learned how to do it. It was a terrible wrench to suddenly say, well, maybe there's a better way than having a nervous breakdown every time I try to be innovative. And far from being less innovative, when I learned the Bugs Bunny stuff, I took off. I was able to, oh, cripes, I've been so privileged. And I don't know, Bluth was kind of in the field some at that point. I didn't meet him or anything, but I felt like I was the only one who realized, A, I was stupid, that I didn't know the stuff, and I had enough experience at learning that I didn't know the stuff, although I was considered this innovator. And it's true, I was doing different stuff all the time, and still am. But it was based on, I realized, God, these guys have got the principles. I want the principles. I don't want to I don't want to drink their bathwater and dress like them, and I don't want to be them. I don't want to steal their shoelaces. I want to know, how did he do that? How did you do Monstro the whale? How the hell did you handle it? And they would tell you. And so I just collected it all. And there wasn't anybody else doing it.
Having looked at walks in depth, in the next session, we'll be delving into sneaks, runs, and animal action.